Welcome to Echoes of the Silk Road, a place where mystery, legend, and the unknown intertwine. From chilling encounters to forgotten folklore, every story is a step deeper into the shadows of history and imagination. If you enjoy unraveling the eerie and unexplained, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And now, let's begin our journey down the Silk Road. Remember how I said I wouldn't be doing this alone? Yeah, about that. I know what you're thinking. Okay, he's the chosen one, but surely he's got an elite team of heroes backing him up, right? No. Bless your optimism, though. Turns out, when you're the last pick, your options for assembling a legendary fellowship are limited. As in, absolutely god awful. I was given exactly one instruction in my entire hero orientation. Don't die alone. They said it like it was an inspirational motto, like a t-shirt slogan. They even had sample merch with Heroes Never Die Alone in Comic Sans, $14.99. No thanks. So here I am, trying to recruit a team with no funding, no clout, no experience, a plastic sword, and a trash can lid. Not exactly a hiring package that screams, join me. More like, please help me before I cry myself to sleep again. But fine. If the kingdom wanted a party of heroes, they were going to get one. Or something vaguely resembling one. Assuming I could find anyone dumb enough to say yes. Cue the montage. If this were a movie, now's when we'd get upbeat music and me interviewing candidates in quick cuts. Sadly, real life is just me standing in a damp alley reading off crumpled flyers I made myself. These flyers were beautiful, by the way. Handmade. Crayon on printer paper. They read, Help Wanted. Heroes Needed. Must Bring Own Weapon. Pizza at some point. I handed them out at bus stops, stapled them to telephone poles, slid them under doors. If you think that's pathetic, don't worry. It gets worse. Let's meet the first applicant. Kevin the Wizard. Let me set the scene for you. We meet in a Greasy Spoon diner at 10 a.m. because that's when they have the cheapest coffee. Kevin shows up late. He's wearing a faded robe with a burn mark on one sleeve. He smells like stale coffee and dreams that didn't pan out. He slides into the booth across from me with all the enthusiasm of a man forced to attend his own funeral. Me. So, you're a wizard. Kevin. I have an online degree. Me. Accredited. Kevin. Define accredited. Promising. I ask for credentials. He pulls out a laminated certificate that says Wizardry 101 in glitter gel pen. It's signed by someone named Professor D with a smiley face. He orders black coffee, takes one sip, sighs like his soul is trying to leave his body. Kevin says to me, Look, man, I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm not good at this. My last spell backfired and gave me IBS for a week. Charming. I'm here because my landlord threatened to evict me if I don't pay him in 3 days. I'm desperate, man. Same. Cool. So, team? Yeah, team. We shook on it. His hand was clammy, but at least he didn't ask for benefits. Congratulations to me, heroic party member number 1, jaded wizard with gastrointestinal trauma. Great start. Really sets the tone. But wait, there's more. Next up, Celine the Rogue. We met in a parking garage. Not intentionally. That's just where she told me to meet her. Very atmospheric. Smelled like oil and disappointment. She sauntered in, all black clothes, knives tucked everywhere, not in sheaths, just everywhere. I counted at least 7 before giving up. She didn't sit down. She leaned against a pillar like she was posing for an edgy album cover. You're Celine? Obviously. Great. So you're a rogue. Define rogue? You steal things. Not always. Sometimes I borrow. Do you give them back? Define back. I asked about experience. She said she once picked the mayor's pocket for fun. He didn't even notice. She showed me his wallet as proof, still had his ID. I told her she should probably return it. She said, I'm planning on it. Eventually. Probably. Honestly, she was exactly what I needed. Untrustworthy, sarcastic, skilled, and most importantly, cheap. Look, I can't pay you. At all. Neither can any of my exes. But I work cheap if it's interesting. This is extremely uninteresting. But it might get us killed. Sold. Heroic Party member number 2. Knife enthusiast with commitment issues. We shook hands. She lifted my wallet while we did. She gave it back with a wink. At least she was honest about it. Sort of. I was 2 for 2. 2 spectacularly questionable life choices. But hey, heroes never die alone, right? That was the rule. But my personal favorite, the one that really tied the whole tragicomic ensemble all together. Sir Trashington, the talking raccoon. Let's talk about Sir Trashington, the third and arguably worst member of this crack team of heroes. If you're wondering how desperate I was by this point, let me just say I was interviewing wildlife. Literal wildlife. But let me back up. I met Sir Trashington behind the same Burger King that the kingdom called its castle. Because, of course, it was night, raining again, because even the weather was committed to this bit. I was sitting on their curb, dejected, mumbling to myself like a man auditioning for the local crazy role. Suddenly, I heard rustling from the dumpster, aggressive rustling, like the garbage was fighting back. Out popped a raccoon, not an ordinary one. He wore a bottle cap as a helmet, had a tiny, filthy cloak made of what might have been, once, a baby blanket. He looked at me with eyes full of wisdom and disdain. Uh, hey? The fuck you want? Jesus. Not him. Trashington. Sir Trashington. If you're nasty. I don't know if you've ever had a sentient raccoon correct you on his title, but it's humbling. It was also the most impressive display of confidence I'd seen all day. We stared at each other for a while, rain pouring, lightning flashing dramatically. It should have been epic. It wasn't. I sneezed and scared him. Eventually, he climbed down, adjusted his bottle cap helmet, and eyed me like I was the intruder, which, to be fair, I guess I was. Look, I'm recruiting for a quest. A quest? You? That's adorable. I need a party. Go to a nightclub. No, like an adventuring party. Ah, suicidal. Cool. He cleaned his whiskers while insulting me, multitasking king. Listen, I'm broke. Rent's due, kingdom's in danger, or some shit like that. And you want me to help? Do you have anything better to do? Eat trash. Judge you? The usual. We have pizza coupons. Say less. And that was the negotiation. I would have been mad if it hadn't been the smoothest recruitment I'd done all week. Sir Trashington was many things. Sarcastic, judgmental, questionably hygienic, surprisingly well-read. He claimed to have devoured entire libraries, literally, pages and bindings. He said he absorbed the knowledge. I didn't question it. So I added him to the team, not because I wanted to, because at that point I'd realized my standards were holding me back. Heroic Party member number 3. Trash raccoon with a mouth like a sailor and self-appointed knight. Did I mention he insisted on being called Sir? As if knighthood was something you just decided on one day. But he wouldn't answer unless you did. We shook on it. I still have the bite marks. which I think is legally binding in raccoon culture. So there you have it, the dream team. Kevin the burned out wizard with an online certificate, Celine the rogue who steals out of spite, Sir Trashington, the raccoon with anger issues and a PhD in sarcasm, and me, the chosen one, by default. I hope you're impressed, because I sure wasn't. But our grand adventure wasn't going to wait, because after we all assembled, we had to figure out how to work together, and that went about as well as you'd expect. So, we had our party, if you want to call it that. Me, the underqualified, chosen one, Kevin the chronically exhausted wizard, Celine the knife-happy rogue with the ethics of a raccoon, and Sir Trashington, who was a raccoon. Now came the hard part. Team building. I'd like to say we did trust falls and sang campfire songs. We didn't. We mostly argued about who was in charge. Spoiler, no one wanted to be in charge. Except me, which everyone hated. We met for our first strategy session in the kingdom's fanciest planning venue, a 24-hour diner that smelled like fryer grease and regret. Kevin arrived first, sipping coffee like it was life support. Celine showed up late and immediately started stealing creamers, for later, she said. Sir Trashington appeared from under the table, having apparently been there all night. He claimed squatters' rights. I did not argue. Okay, team, let's talk strategy. Quit while we're ahead. We're not ahead. Exactly. I vote we loot the kingdom treasure and flee. We don't even know where it is. That's quitter talk. I tried to lay out the map, which was still crayon on damp paper. It tore immediately. We all watched it happen in silence. Celine just raised an eyebrow. Professional? Kevin sipped coffee and muttered a spell to try and fix it. He succeeded in setting the edge on fire. Trashington clapped. Excellent. We'll burn the kingdom to the ground. Easier that way. I panicked. Smashed a flame out with my palm. Burned myself, which I tried to play off. Ow! Good. See? Teamwork. We're all gonna die. Hey, can I have your stuff if you go first? Called it. Next came introductions. You'd think after recruiting them, I'd know who they were. Turns out, not really. Kevin's story: dropped out of community college, found Wizardry 101 online during a depressive episode, paid $19.99, certificate included, was trying to summon a familiar but got a raccoon infestation instead. Trashington claims that's how they met. Kevin insists they never met before this quest. Neither would elaborate. Celine's backstory: she prefers to remain mysterious, which is code for probably has active warrants. She threatened to stab anyone who asked about her childhood. Kevin asked anyway, got a knife thrown at him, missed on purpose, but the message was clear. Trashington's turn. He launched into an hour-long monologue about being raised in the alleys, self-educated by consuming discarded literature, and battling the tyranny of the sanitation department. Celine fell asleep halfway through. Kevin played Candy Crush. I took notes just to be polite. He still called me illiterate. It was going great. I tried to get us back on task. We need to plan our first move. Kevin suggested we wing it. Celine suggested we steal someone else's plan. Trashington suggested eat the rich. Literally. We're supposed to save the kingdom. That's subjective. Define save. I'm only here for the eventual loot. We were basically the fellowship of the dysfunctional. After several hours of arguing, insulting, and Kevin trying and failing to conjure more coffee, we arrived at our grand strategy. Step 1, don't die. Step 2, figure out step 2 later. Inspirational. We left the diner poorer, more annoyed, and less confident than when we entered. Trashington stole my toast. Celine pickpocketed Kevin and gave it back for training purposes. Kevin threatened to curse us all, but forgot the words. Teamwork makes the dream work, if your dream is a complete train wreck. But, despite everything, we stayed together, not out of loyalty, but because none of us could afford to quit. Rent was due, eviction was looming, and for better or worse, this was the best offer any of us had. We were heroes, technically, barely, but it was something. So, after our strategy session ended in mutual insults and a good food fight with condiments, we decided we needed structure, which is laughable, but you have to start somewhere. We tried a second meeting in Kevin's apartment, which was, well, let's be polite and call it unconventionally organized. Stacks of wizard manuals he'd obviously never read. Half-eaten takeout containers he claimed were specimens. A suspicious smell that we politely did not discuss. Celine refused to sit. She paced, knives glinting. At one point, she sharpened one on Kevin's coffee table. He didn't notice. Trashington immediately claimed the Kamia Fest chair and refused to move. He also demanded snacks, which Kevin begrudgingly provided from a bag labeled, "Do not eat." Let's not go further. Trashington read it as a challenge. Okay, ground rules. Let's get organized. I'm listening, begrudgingly. No rules about stealing. No rules at all. I tried to lay out my plan, which was ambitious, by which I mean it existed. Make a real map, assign roles, determine first target, not die. Celine laughed so hard she dropped a knife. Kevin applauded sarcastically. Trashington fell asleep halfway through my speech. Seriously, we need to look like a real team. Why? We're not. She has a point. Eat the mayor. I tried giving them roles anyway. I was desperate. Kevin, magic. Celine, stealth. Trashington, morale? Fuck you. Perfect. Kevin suggested a team name. How about The Last Resort? Celine liked The Untrustables. Trashington voted for Dumpster Royalty. I said Heroes. They booed. We eventually settled on The Possibly Avoidably Doomed. Unanimous. We celebrated with warm beer Kevin had in his fridge. I tried to make it a toast. To saving the kingdom. To paying rent. To taking what isn't nailed down. To free food and moral ambiguity. Clink. It was awful. But it was ours. We agreed to actually train the next day. Spoiler. That went even worse. Kevin tried to practice spells in the park. He set a bush on fire. We had to run from the groundskeeper. Celine wanted to work on stealth. She tried to pickpocket Trashington. He bit her. She threatened to skin him. Kevin had to cast calm emotions. It didn't work. On anyone. Trashington wanted negotiation drills, which consisted of him shouting insults at passing pedestrians until one threw a soda can at him. He claimed victory when he kept the can. I took notes. Burned them later out of shame. We called it a work in progress, which is code for we gave up until further notice. Despite all this, we didn't quit. Because what else were we going to do? Go back to real jobs? Answer customer service calls? Hide from landlords? Nah. At least this was something. A distraction. A direction. A goal. However, suicidal. Even if our team dynamics were aggressively dysfunctional. I'm pretty sure the kingdom deserved better, but they got us. Congratulations, no refunds. That night, we camped out in Kevin's living room. Trashington snored. Celine cleaned her knives like a bedtime ritual. Kevin drank himself into oblivion. I stayed up, planning, worrying. trying to pretend I had a clue what I was doing. Because despite everything, I wanted it to work. Even if I wouldn't admit it out loud, I wanted to be the hero, if only to prove everyone, including myself, wrong. But let's be clear, we weren't a team yet. Not really. We were a collection of misfits with overlapping schedules held together by necessity, sarcasm, and the collective fear of homelessness. And tomorrow, we'd actually have to start the journey, which none of us were ready for. But hey, that's Act Three's problem. You'd think, after all that, I'd be feeling confident. Spoiler? I wasn't. If anything, the more I got to know my so-called team, the less convinced I was we'd survive past breakfast. But destiny waits for no one, especially not for idiots like us. The kingdom was still in danger, or so they claimed. Honestly, no one had explained the details. Save the realm was the job description. Save it from what? Taxes? Bad Yelp reviews? Existential dread? Your guess was just as good as mine. But we were committed. Emotionally, legally, because of that damn waiver I'd signed. Kevin was stuck because he needed rent money. Celine was in because she was bored and broke. Chesterton refused to admit he liked us, but he didn't leave either. And me? I talked so much shit about being the chosen one, I couldn't back out now. Pride is a hell of a drug. Like cocaine. So the next morning, we met one last time before leaving town at the Kingdom's Grand Meeting Hall, which was naturally a 24-hour laundromat. Kevin brought coffee he couldn't afford. Celine lounged on a washing machine like a bored cat. Chashington rifled through Lost and found a child's beanie he insisted was ceremonial headgear. I laid out the plan. Again, because I'm nothing if not stubborn. Head north, cross the forest of mild inconveniences. Don't die. Define north. Up on the map. Your map is a napkin with ketchup on it. Strategic blood. Tastes like Heinz. We packed our gear, such as it was. Kevin's robe and his one reliable spell, prestigitation, which he mostly used to make his breath smell like mint after vomiting from nerves. Celine's arsenal of knives, plus a spare set she kept in her boot, just in case she lost faith in humanity. Trashington's trash satchel. Contents unknown, possibly cursed, definitely unsanitary. And me, with my trusty trash can lid shield and the plastic sword that was already bent into a sad question mark shape, we looked like the worst Renaissance fair rejects in history. But damn it, we were ready. Kind of. Sort of. Maybe. Kevin made a speech. Sort of. Let's not die. Cheers. He raised his coffee. It was empty. Celine clapped, slow, sarcastic. Kevin flipped her off. Trashington applauded them both for displaying true leadership. I made my own speech, because I'm an optimist. Or an idiot. Look, we might not be heroes, but no one else is showing up. So it's us or no one. And if the kingdom falls because no one tried, I don't want that on my tombstone, even if it's really cheap. They all blinked at me. I think Kevin was genuinely moved. Celine looked bored. Trashington scratched himself and muttered, fucking inspiring. That was as close as we got to unity. We left the laundromat as a team. A dysfunctional, underqualified, highly combustible team. But a team. We walked down the cracked sidewalk like a low-budget adventuring party. Trashington insisted on riding in the rolling laundry cart we found inside. Kevin pushed it with all the enthusiasm of a zombie. Celine scouted ahead by 5 steps, muttering about how she was too hot for this level of stupid. I tried to lead. No one followed. We just sort of drifted in the same direction. People stared, judged, laughed. I didn't blame them, I would have laughed too. But under the sarcasm, the insults, and the general lack of hygiene, we had one thing going for us. We were actually trying. And sometimes that's enough. Not for victory, but to take the first step. So we walked out of the kingdom, past the strip malls and fast food castles over the drainage ditch moat, into the wild suburban sprawl that passed our fantasy realm, ready for anything, except literally everything that was about to happen. Because next, we had to actually start the quest, the travel, the danger, the epic part that none of us was prepared for. But that's Act Three's problem. See you there. Bring snacks. We're gonna need them.